I came home on a Tuesday evening to find my driveway empty. That sounds simple, I know. An empty driveway. But my driveway is never empty because my car lives there. My car that I spent 3 years saving for, that I researched for 6 months, that I drove off the lot 14 months ago with my hands shaking because I had never spent that much money on anything in my entire life. My car. My white Mazda CX-5 with the panoramic sunroof I specifically paid extra for because I told myself I deserved one nice thing after years of driving a 2009 Civic with a broken AC. Gone. I stood at the end of the driveway for a solid 10 seconds just staring at the concrete like the car was gonna materialize if I looked hard enough. Then I checked the street. Then I walked around back like somehow my car had grown legs and wandered to the backyard. Nothing. I pulled out my phone and called my brother. He didn't pick up. I called again. Straight to voicemail. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I called my mom. She answered on the second ring, and I could hear the TV in the background, which meant she was already home for the evening, comfortable, settled in. "Hey honey," she said, like it was any normal Tuesday. "Mom, where's my car?" A pause. A very specific kind of pause that I now understand was her deciding how to play this. "Oh, your brother borrowed it." I had to sit down on the front steps. Not because I was going to faint, but because my legs were suddenly doing something strange and I needed to think very clearly, and I could not do that while standing. "He borrowed it," I repeated. "He needed to pick up the kids from Jenna's mom's place. His truck is in the shop." My brother. I'll call him Cole, has 2 kids with his ex-girlfriend. I love those kids. I do. None of this is about them. But Cole has had a suspended license for the past 8 months because of a DUI he got last spring, and everyone in the family knows this. And somehow my car was now being driven by a man with no legal right to operate a vehicle. And my mother was telling me this, like she was explaining why the mail was late. "Mom, he doesn't have a license. He's just going a few miles, it's fine." It is not fine. It is the opposite of fine. "Who authorized this? Did you give him my spare key?" Another pause. "Your dad thought it made sense. Cole needed the car, you were at work, and it was just easier." That's when it clicked. I hadn't even talked to my dad yet, and I could already see the whole shape of it. My dad, who lives 40 minutes away and who I don't share a house with, had somehow decided that my vehicle, registered in my name, insured under my name, financed by my paychecks, was available for his son to borrow without asking me, without calling me, without a single text. I told my mom I'd call her back, and I hung up. I sat on the steps for a few minutes. I'm not gonna pretend I was calm. I wasn't. My heart was going fast, and I was doing that thing where you breathe, but the air doesn't really feel like it's getting in. I was running through the numbers in my head. $34,000 car, comprehensive insurance, but if Cole got into an accident without a valid license, the insurance implications alone would be a nightmare. If he hurt someone, if he got pulled over, if he wrapped my car around a telephone pole because he'd been drinking again and nobody thought to ask. I called my dad. He picked up right away. That surprised me a little. He sounded relaxed. "Hey, I was wondering when you'd call." "Dad, where is my car and why does Cole have it?" "He needed it. His truck's been at the mechanic since Friday and the kids needed a ride. You were at the office, the car was just sitting there." It wasn't just sitting there. It wasn't just sitting there. It was parked at my house because it's my car. I know it's your car, I'm not saying it isn't, but you have to be reasonable here. Cole's got responsibilities. Those kids needed to get home. Cole has a suspended license. It's a couple miles, sweetheart. He knows those roads. I want to describe what it feels like to hear your father refer to your brother driving illegally in your vehicle as knowing those roads, like familiarity with local streets is some kind of legal loophole. It feels like the floor has gone slightly soft, like the rules you thought everyone agreed on are suddenly optional for some people and mandatory for others, and you are firmly in the mandatory category. "Dad, I need you to tell me when he'll be back." "He'll be back tonight." Stop making this a bigger deal than it is. Cole is family. And my car is my property. You know what your problem is? You've always had trouble sharing, even when you were little. I didn't say anything to that. I let it sit. Then I asked very carefully, "Dad, does Cole still have a suspended license? Or did he get it reinstated?" A beat. "I don't know the exact status right now." "I do. It's suspended. Until February at the earliest. I checked the county records last month because he asked me to co-sign a lease and I wanted to know what I was getting into before I said yes. I'd said no on the co-sign, by the way. So right now, the man driving my car has no valid license. If he gets pulled over, my car could be impounded. If he's at fault in an accident, my insurance could deny the claim entirely because the driver wasn't licensed. And depending on the state, I could potentially be liable for knowingly allowing an unlicensed driver to use my vehicle, which I didn't know and did not allow. Silence. Dad, I'm going to ask you one more time. When is he bringing my car back? You need to calm down. Cole will be home in an hour and then he'll drop your car off. Just relax. If my car is not back in my driveway in 1 hour, I am calling the police and reporting it stolen. He laughed. My father laughed. You're not going to do that. Watch me. I hung up. I want to tell you I felt powerful right then, like I had made some decisive action hero move. But honestly, I just felt sick, because I had just threatened to call the police on my own family and part of me was still hoping it wouldn't come to that. Hoping Cole would show up in 45 minutes looking sheepish and hand me my keys, and we'd have an uncomfortable conversation, and it would be over. That's not what happened. An hour passed, then an hour and 15 minutes. I'd been texting Cole every 20 minutes and getting nothing back. My mom called twice, I let it go to voicemail. My dad sent a single text that said, "Just give him time, he's handling the kids." At 1 hour and 20 minutes, I called 911. I explained to the dispatcher that my vehicle had been taken from my property without my permission, that the person driving it had a suspended license, and that I had not authorized the use of my car. She asked if I wanted to file a report. I said yes. She asked if I knew the location of the vehicle. I gave her my brother's address, which my mom had mentioned when she said he was picking up the kids from there. 2 officers made contact with Cole at that address about 40 minutes later. I know this because Cole called me, and for the first time all evening he picked up immediately. "What is wrong with you?" he said. He didn't even say hello. "Hi Cole, you called the cops. On me. On your own brother. Those kids are here, do you understand that? This is insane. Are you with the officers right now? They're outside. They're saying they need to see registration and proof of insurance, and I don't have any of that because it's your car. I can handle that." I pulled up my insurance app and sent him the digital card. "Tell them the vehicle is registered to me and I'm on the phone. They can call my number to verify." He handed the phone to one of the officers. I verified that the vehicle was mine, gave my address, and confirmed that Cole did not have permission to take the car. The officer thanked me and said the car would be returned. She also noted that Cole's license status had been flagged when they ran the plates and that there would be citations issued. Cole got back on the phone when the officers stepped away. "You just ruined my life," he said. "You borrowed my car without asking," I said. "You don't have a license. You were driving my $34,000 car with my insurance on the line, and you didn't even text me. I was going to bring it back. When? In your own time? When it was convenient? Cole, I need my car to get to work. I have a 7 a.m. shift. Nobody asked me if tonight was a good night for you to need transportation. Nobody asked me anything." He hung up. My car was back in my driveway by 9:30. One of the officers pulled in, left the keys in the console, and not to let me know. I thanked her and went out to check everything over. The tank was 3/4, same as when I left, so he hadn't been joyriding at least. A small mercy. My phone started going off almost immediately. My mom. Then my dad. Then my aunt, who had somehow already heard. I turned my phone face down and made myself a cup of tea, and I sat at my kitchen table for a long time, just existing in the silence. The fallout started the next morning. My mom called at 7:32 a.m., 2 minutes after I got to work, and was still taking my coat off. I answered because I figured I might as well get it over with. "I cannot believe you called the police on your brother," she said. She wasn't yelling. She was doing something worse than yelling. She was speaking in that measured, disappointed tone that parents deploy when they want you to feel like you're the one who did something wrong. "Mom, he took my car. He borrowed it, and now he has citations on his record. You did that. He was driving without a license. That's not something I did, that's something that was true before any of this happened. You could have just waited. He was going to bring it back. He didn't, though. I gave him over an hour. Because you gave him an ultimatum out of nowhere. You didn't even try to have a conversation first. I'd had a conversation. I'd had several conversations. I called my dad. I called her. I texted Cole repeatedly. But I didn't say any of that because I've learned that when someone has decided that your reasonable actions were actually unreasonable, explaining yourself just gives them more material to argue with. Mom, I have to get to work. Your father wants to have a family meeting this weekend. I closed my eyes for a moment. A family meeting. About the time I called the police because someone stole my car. I'll think about it, I said, and ended the call. I did not call back that week. My dad called Thursday evening. He led with disappointment, same as my mom, and then he shifted into something I hadn't expected, which was a lecture about priorities. Cole has a family, he said. He's got those 2 kids to think about. You're single, you don't have those responsibilities. That's not relevant to whether he can take my property without asking. I'm just saying you have more flexibility. Cole doesn't. Dad, I have a job. I have a mortgage. I have my own responsibilities. The fact that I don't have kids doesn't mean my time and my property are available for anyone who decides they need them. You've always been selfish about your things. There it was again. Selfish. The word they pull out when I don't hand over whatever they've decided they need from me. Cole has been DUI-free for 8 months, and I want to support that, I said. But I can't support it by letting him drive my car illegally and risk my insurance, my registration, and potentially my liability. If he'd asked me, I would have driven him myself. I would have paid for a lift. I would have figured something out. Nobody asked. My dad went quiet for a moment. Then, the family meeting is Saturday at 2. I heard. I'll let you know. I went. I don't know why. Maybe because part of me still believed that if I just explained clearly enough, they would understand. Maybe because I'm not quite at the point of cutting contact and I didn't want to skip a step. My parents' house on a Saturday afternoon felt the same as it always does. My mom's diffuser going, the dog underfoot, the same furniture that's been there since I was in high school. Cole was there with the kids who ran at me for hugs the second I walked in, which was both wonderful and a little bit cruel, because I love those kids and this whole thing is so much more complicated because of that. Cole didn't hug me. He sat on the far side of the couch and looked at the floor. My dad started talking almost immediately after I sat down. He had clearly prepared. He went through the whole thing. Cole's situation, the kids, the difficulty of being a single parent, the fact that family is supposed to help each other. He talked about what it means to be a community, to lift each other up. He mentioned, twice, that I had the means and that people with means have a responsibility. My mom chimed in periodically to agree with him or to add that I had escalated unnecessarily. Cole said almost nothing. I let them finish. Then I said, "Can I say something?" My dad nodded. The car is registered to me. It's insured under my name. I make every payment. Cole didn't ask me, neither of you asked me. You made a decision about my property without my knowledge, and you're framing my response as the problem, when the actual problem is that someone took something that belongs to me and drove it illegally. I paused. If Cole had been in an accident, even a fender bender, my insurance rates go up. If he'd been at fault in something serious, the insurance company could have contested the claim entirely because the driver was unlicensed. In some circumstances, I could have been personally liable for damages. Did anyone think about that? Silence. Did anyone think about what happens to me if Cole hurts someone while driving my car on a suspended license? More silence. I'm not the villain here. I didn't do anything to Cole. Cole did something to me, and then when I enforced a consequence, everyone acted like I was the one who started it. My dad said, "We're not saying you're the villain. We're saying you overreacted." Calling the police when someone takes your car without permission and refuses to return it is not an overreaction. It's a reasonable, legal response. You called the police on family. I called the police on someone who was operating my vehicle illegally without my consent. The fact that we share a last name doesn't change what happened. Cole looked up for the first time. I was going to bring it back, he said. I know you thought you were. But you didn't tell me that. You didn't answer my calls. You didn't text me back. And when I gave you a clear deadline, you still didn't bring it back. So I had no reason to believe you. I looked at him directly. Cole, I love you. I'm not trying to destroy your life, but you put me in an impossible position, and then you're upset that I got myself out of it." He looked back at the floor. My mom said, "I just think you could have shown more grace." I picked up my bag. I showed plenty of grace. I waited an hour and 20 minutes before I called anyone. Grace has limits. I stood up. "I'll see you guys at Easter." It's been about 6 weeks now. Things are still weird. Cole hasn't texted me anything friendly. My mom calls about once a week and we talk about other things. Carefully avoiding the subject like it's furniture we're both walking around. My dad and I have spoken twice, briefly, and he hasn't brought it up again. Which I think might be his version of letting it go. The citations Cole got that night included driving on a suspended license, which carries its own fines and adds more time to his reinstatement process. I didn't make that happen. I just made the call and the law did what it does. People have asked me if I feel guilty. Here's what I actually feel. I feel clear. I feel like I know exactly what happened and exactly what I did and exactly why I did it, and I can stand behind every decision I made from the moment I noticed my driveway was empty to the moment I walked out of my parents' house on Saturday. That's not a feeling I always have about things, and it turns out it's a pretty solid one to land on. My car is in my driveway right now, same place it belongs. If Cole needs a ride somewhere, he can ask me. He can call, text, use his words like an adult, explain what he needs and when and where, and we can figure it out together, like people who respect each other. I would probably say yes most of the time. I would definitely pay for a lift if I couldn't help directly. I would not leave him stranded, but he doesn't get to make that decision for me. Nobody does. My name is on the registration. My name is on the insurance card. My number is the one the officer called when she needed to verify ownership. That means something. It has to. I've thought a lot about what made that Tuesday evening different from all the other times my family crossed a line and I let it go. Because there were other times. There was the Christmas my dad gave Cole money from the family account, which was mostly my contributions, to cover his security deposit without telling me. There was the time my mom gave Cole my old laptop when I'd specifically said I was keeping it as a backup. Small things, medium things, things I swallowed because I told myself that's what you do for family. That's what love looks like when it's inconvenient. What I understand now is that swallowing things doesn't make them disappear. It teaches people what they can take from you. Cole didn't think twice about getting in my car that Tuesday because nothing in our history had ever suggested he should. My dad didn't think twice about authorizing it because every time he'd made a unilateral decision about my things, I had eventually come around. My mom didn't think it was worth a heads-up call because, historically, I was the one who adjusted. I was the flexible one. I was the one with more latitude. That pattern didn't come from nowhere. I built it. One quiet concession at a time, and then no surprise when everyone operated inside it. What changed that night wasn't that I suddenly became a different person. I was just standing in an empty driveway with a very concrete, very undeniable problem. My car was gone, my brother had no license, and my insurance was on the line, and for once there was no amount of goodwill that could paper over it. The situation had edges. It had legal weight. It demanded a specific response, and I gave one. I think that's what people mean when they talk about integrity, though most of the time the word gets used in vague, inspirational ways that don't mean much. What it actually looked like for me, on a Tuesday night, in my own driveway, was this. I knew exactly what was right, and I did it even though it was going to cost me something. It cost me a season of awkward phone calls. It cost me Cole's friendship, at least for now. It cost me the version of myself that my family preferred, the one who absorbs, forgives quickly, and moves on without making anyone uncomfortable. I paid that cost with both eyes open. The part that took me a while to name is the cause and effect chain underneath all of it. My family's behavior didn't come from nowhere either. When people are never held accountable for taking more than they're given, they stop believing there's a limit. Cole genuinely could not understand why I was upset. Not because he's a bad person at his core, but because nothing had ever interrupted the story he'd been living in. The one where his needs were the organizing principle and my resources were available by default. My dad laughed when I threatened to call the police because he had never, in all his years of managing our family dynamics, seen me actually do it. The laugh stopped being funny pretty quickly after that. I'm not interested in punishing Cole. I'm not sitting here satisfied that he got citations or that his reinstatement timeline got pushed back. None of that is the point. The point is that I protected myself when it mattered, clearly and without apology, and I did it by staying calm and asking one factual question and then following through on exactly what I said I would do. That's the thing nobody tells you about standing up for yourself in a family system that's used to you not doing it. It doesn't feel triumphant. It feels like grief and clarity at the same time, mixed together in a way that's hard to separate. You're sad because it shouldn't have had to happen. You're clear because you know it was right. I'll take that combination over silence any day.